Welcome, friends and community. Thank you for being here. Whether you are tuning in from Instagram, YouTube, or Spotify, even if I don't have a fancy podcast intro song yet, I do have my candle, my tea, my incense for this exploration of what is beauty today and how we can deconstruct toxic beauty standards from our experience being ourselves, living ourselves in our everyday lives. So I'm just ready to dive right in. And let's first get really real. Just about no one is immune or unscathed from the impactful distortions of body image. We are bombarded by thousands of advertisements a day that tell us what beautiful bodies should look like, or what we need to purchase or consume in order to meet those often photoshopped standards. And I don't know about y'all, but early 2000s media really messed me up. I watched a lot of America's Next Top Model, which for many years convinced me that having an eating disorder was normal or okay in order to meet skinny standards. And to preface, the reflections and recommendations that I'll be sharing today are not intended to be answers for those who have experienced eating disorders or body dysmorphia of any kind. Although I'm studying to become a social worker with Tulane University, I'm currently not a registered therapist and cannot claim to have any cures or solutions to serious body-related mental health challenges. I will, however, share about my personal experience through reclaiming my own body image in a healthier way, and I hope it can serve you as well, wherever you are at on your own journey. Further trigger warning: if you are sensitive to this topic, please use your discretion with tuning in, as I will be getting fairly raw and honest here. Pause, step away, tend to your nervous system and well-being however is best for you, and you can always return to the recording. It can be so easy for us to assume that anyone who meets societal beauty standards must not have body image issues. That is absolutely not the case. And I can assure you, many, if not the majority, of people that are perceived as gorgeous also have intense body image issues, likely because they feel such a high pressure to contort themselves in extreme ways for money, power, influence, etc. Thank you for tuning in, Jordan. Bookmarking this important chat to listen to a bit later. Appreciating you. And before we dive in, I want to address any thoughts that may even arise towards me, a typically skinny white girl, if we're being honest, along the lines of, who am I to talk about this? As a feminine empowerment mentor and social worker in training, I've spent most of my life guiding myself and others through initiations of personal growth. I pulled myself out of severe depression and anxiety as a teenager, which included some intense body image conditioning, and have since created a life of personal liberation. I know very well the depths of how far body image indoctrination can make us suffer. I've starved myself, contorted my body, physically hurt myself, and caused lasting damage to my vessel simply in an attempt to fit into a mold that I was in reality meant to break. I will be sharing some of my personal stories today as a case example of how I've transmuted body image challenges, along with a breakdown of the exact tools that have supported that entire process. So first, let us get to the core of it and reclaim the word beauty for what it really can be for us. Reclaiming it from the grips of capitalism that would otherwise define it by whatever will make the cosmetics industry money. Now, if we go all the way to the core philosophy of redefining beauty itself, I really can't describe it better than Richard Rudd does of the Gene Keys. I highly recommend listening to his contemplation of beauty on Spotify. You can simply look up Gene Keys Beauty, and it is the most amazing transmission. And one quote that really stands out to me from his perception is, "True beauty, when manifested and realized in a human being, presupposes a state of union with the totality of life itself. This union or oneness is not like anything we can imagine. It's so delicate that a single word can shatter it. Beauty is the crystallization of our perception. Beauty is to experience the divine. Beauty is all there is. Forget trying to find beauty on the outside. That's a wild goose chase. Beauty is a lens provided by love. It's a poetic way of living." And what Richard Rudd means by this is that beauty can be an expression of the divine itself. We know that beauty truly is only seen from the eye of the beholder. It is our perspective that defines what is beautiful or not. Something may be beautiful to you, and that is not to someone else, or vice versa. Rather, the invitation here is to expand beyond that polarity or dual thinking, and thus open our awareness to see that the beauty is life itself. And thus, through that, the beauty that we each inherently are, simply by being living, breathing, walking miracles. And this could certainly be a whole other podcast in and of itself. And so to stick a pin in that philosophical rabbit hole, how do we apply that mentality in real life, in execution? In short, I believe we are able to perceive, feel, and embody beauty the more that we allow ourselves to be ravished by the beauty of life. And by doing so, that alone allows us to shatter the hold of toxic beauty standards. They no longer have a grip on us, as we know true beauty exists beyond their limited scope. Now, I'm not necessarily encouraging that we all just stop wearing makeup and proclaim our natural selves as beautiful. Yes, that can absolutely be right and true for you. But depending on our mental states, that choice may not be invincible either. Even as rejecting makeup or certain adornments can be a beauty standard in and of itself in its own way. A limitation or strict definition nonetheless. Beauty in its truest form is boundless and is only contingent upon a devotion to love. Love of oneself, love of being alive, love of the human experience, love of honest expression. However that is inspired to uniquely look, dolled up or raw. So the first key that I offer to releasing ourselves from beauty standards is to, 1, engage with adornments, makeup, clothes, or none at all, with pleasure, fun, and play, versus feeling a need to do so, in a perceived need to cover an insecurity in order to feel worthy, or even in spiritual arrogance, such as expressing or embodying a certain perception of what we think is holier than thou, which is actually a performance in its own right. It's about how you engage, your intentions, your sovereignty, your level of consciousness in engaging with these tools and toys that can simply be an artist's expression of how your inspiration is feeling today. Everything, including makeup, can be spiritual. It's an art form. Know where you're coming from when you approach it, your why, your inspiration, and know you can interact with it in a sovereign, empowered way. Allow yourself to be the blank canvas of your own heart's playful expression and inspiration. It doesn't have to be fancy, trendy, or artistic. It can be whatever you're most comfortable in, even if it's just sweatpants. Just allow it to feel good as the priority, especially when no one is watching. But how do we know what actually feels good? And so here's the second key that I offer. Learning how to listen to your unique body wisdom. Our bodies talk to us through symptoms and physical manifestations as they constantly change, evolve, and grow. But often, American and Western society teaches us to ignore these signs, to simply push through them, and choose quick fix band-aid solutions or cover-ups to try to force our bodies into a different reality, like fitting a circle shape into a square, because we've been told to be squares. And my personal biggest journey with body image has actually been with my skin, as I've had hormonal acne since I first started puberty. And for years, dermatologists prescribed me really intense antibiotics, creating lasting damage to my gut microbiome that I'm still recovering from years later, as a band-aid solution that never addressed the core hormonal imbalance that was causing this physical manifestation. My body was trying to loudly tell me that I needed a specific lifestyle, diet, and herbal regimen to find the balance. But because I wasn't educated, I simply took the pills, covered my face with layers of foundation to hide my insecurity and feign a shallow confidence, and prayed so hard that people would still validate me as beautiful despite what they could see. Or in other words, see me as worthy of their validation and love. Since then, I have been able to heal my skin from the inside out, naturally and far more effectively, because I've learned how to interpret my body's signals and listen to what my body wisdom was telling me, without trying to force it into something it simply is not. Similarly, during the pandemic, I was amongst the many people across the world who experienced weight gain. And for me, I have not looked at a scale in many years. I simply have not consented at this time in my life that my state of health or wellness should be defined by a number, and that's my personal health choice at this time. But I would imagine that since 2020, I've likely gained about 15 pounds. And in this process, I've had many of the body distortions hidden in the shadows of my psyche come to the surface to be looked at, to be grappled with and understood. And even though the toxic conditionings living in my mind wanted me to desperately lose weight and get back to my skinny mini size small, I've come to recognize that when I was skinnier, I actually wasn't healthier. And I look back and I see that I was frail and weak in many ways. I couldn't lift my suitcase in the overhead bin on an airplane. I wasn't eating enough healthy fats, and so my skin and my adrenals were just on fire. I look back at some of the old photos of me and can see in my skin and my under eye dark circles how unhealthy my body truly was, even if I seemed to meet the societal body weight ideals. Ultimately, at this time, I always felt like a little girl in my body, even at age 24. And as a result, I was meek and small, mentally too. After I gained weight, I felt more confident taking up space, physically and mentally. And honestly, I felt a lot more sexy. I had more of myself to love and feel. And it granted me the opportunity to refresh my closet, to start anew, as I was previously still able to wear clothes from high school at 24 years old. But now I got a whole new chapter of how I want to authentically express in the state that my body wants to be in now. And that's a cyclical wisdom that our bodies have for us as we age and evolve in a graceful way. And obviously, weight can be nuanced because there is obvious health guidelines to that matter, far beyond body image. I certainly enjoy going to the gym, getting those exercise endorphins, and sculpting my body to what feels like my most authentic embodiment, uninfluenced by societal projections of that have no real say on what my body's liberation should look like. So my overall question and invitation in this realm is, what weight or shape feels good to authentically live in for you? And if there's anything you can do to make that more of an embodied reality, regardless of what the outside world might say, don't even look at the Instagram ads or magazine covers. What actually feels good for you to live in for this precious temporary vessel that we each have? And take those steps as they feel right. And I invite you to notice, to practice self-awareness of any pangs of emotions, of seeing your body in the mirror or a photo. I know that very well, of feeling so good in my body and how I'm living and expressing, and then this mirror comes up and something in my brain twists and an insecurity comes up. I invite us to look at those moments because they reveal where societal beauty standards still contort our perception of the unbound beauty that is limitless and lives inside each one of us. The difference here is how your body feels when you are simply living in it, living at your fullest, most radiant expression of who you authentically are. When you're simply enjoying life, when you're moving, dancing in a way that feels right to you and who you want to be at this time, in this moment, savoring the senses, all of them, sight, taste, sound, touch, to their richness, massaging yourself and feeling alive and grateful for being here. How good does your body feel in those moments? And that's when our beauty really shines forth, because we are living beauty, not in contrast to anything outside of us. My invitation with this, and with all aspects of bodily expression, is that we choose feeling good rather than trying to look good for others, which is always a futile endeavor. And one way I've checked myself with this is actually in the contemplation of following beauty trends, such as getting lip fillers, which are really common nowadays, right? And so one practice that I've done in kind of checking myself, is this authentic? Is this true for me and my expression? Is when I've contemplated in the past getting a cosmetic procedure of some kind. I've looked back at how I've been insecure about the smallness of my lips since middle school. And especially as plump lips have become popularized in recent years, I did my due diligence with it and really questioned, is this safe for me? Does this actually feel like me? Is this going to be an authentic expression of who I am? And in this process, I stopped and paused myself and I asked, is this an authentic expression of me, or is this advertising? Is this advertising expressing itself, wanting to sneakily insert itself into my life and express itself through me in order to meet someone else's gain? Am I seeing more of who I really am when I change my face like this or my body like this? Or am I simply trying to fit another person's mold and becoming a walking advertisement, simply seeking validation? And from asking myself those hard questions, I realized, no, lip injections don't actually feel authentic to me in my personal expression of who I am and who I want to be. That's just not my expression. That's not my adornment. However, in contrast, I have, on the flip side, had my eyebrows microbladed, which to me, back when I did it in 2019 and still to this day, feels like an empowered choice that honors my authenticity, because I've been able to see and express more of myself through this particular adornment. I've been able to see more of how my face is framed. And that's been empowering and authentic to me. So whatever it is for you, whatever the adornment might be, take the time to listen to yourself, your true self, your core self, your inner wisdom and your body wisdom. Pause and ask yourself, is this me, or is this advertising? Will this express more of me or less of who I really am and want to be? Overall, confidence and healthy body image comes from how you feel, love, embrace, and nourish yourself internally, mentally, physically, and so forth. Anything shallow or external will only last for so long as a temporary band-aid until the next trend comes along. So here are my final tips to embracing the full spectrum beauty that you already are. 1, take the time to admire yourself in the mirror. Redefine your relationship to those reflections. Find aspects of yourself that you see as beautiful and shout them out. Hype them up. Embrace your angles, layers, and curves. You deserve that much. Be in your body more by moving in a way that feels good, and when you're not concerned about what it looks like. Ecstatic dance is one really great way to practice this. For the parts of you that feel hard to love, spend time with them. Hold them, love them, touch them, thank them for all that they do for you and make your precious body vessel function the way it does. Nourish yourself with what feels really good to you. Enjoy foods that lift you up, whether emotionally through comfort foods or in terms of your health that make your body feel right. Love on your skin with self-touch, using oils that are infused with non-toxic, rejuvenating botanicals. Not for capitalistic self-care vibes, but for you actually feeling your best in the skin that you have. And this one might feel edgy, but try talking to your body. What does it want? What does it actually need? And how can you show up for it today? Not for what your mind thinks your body should do or be, but actually let your body lead. Let your body tell you what it wants when your mind takes the backseat. Listen to the body wisdom that may come forth when you make the space to ask. Take care of your nervous system throughout this process. When body dysmorphia or societal conditionings arise, because they're not going to dissolve just right away. It's an ever evolving and deepening into understanding the depths of our psyche. And so when those distortions, those pain points do arise, take care to regulate however you know works for you and your nervous system. Know that those pangs of pain or critical self-talk are not you, and you do not have to consent to them any longer. And I offer this quote from Martin Prechtel, and he says, "Grow a nervous system to feel the beauty, and then feed the beauty to feel your life." And this returns back to what I was expanding before on the philosophy of beauty itself, is that perhaps it's much more of an internal expression in dance with life and being alive, having this gift of a human body in and of itself. And that process is how we can dismantle the impact of societal beauty standards and toxic conditioning. My next tip is to spend time with and expose to people with similar body types. Because when you see beauty in them, it can help you see the beauty in yourself. And overall, play with the avatar that you've been gifted during your time here on Earth. In some perspectives, that cliche that you are a spirit living in a human body can be quite fun to play with. Allow yourself to enjoy this temporary vessel that provides a home for your soul. Certainly take care of it, ground yourself when you need, but also I invite you to try having fun with it like a character in a video game if you want. What feels right and fun for you to wear today, even if it's silly or unconventional? Just try it, whether someone sees you or not. I hope this general exploration of body image can serve you in reclaiming your relationship to your sacred, precious temple. Your body is your home, and you deserve to feel free and true in it. Reclamation from toxic external influences is the entire foundation of my sovereign empowerment experiences, whether through the opt-in workshop series this summer or through the 3-month immersion. If you are feeling ready to take back your life from the projections of society, family, peer, or self-created thought patterns, we dive into all aspects of this work, including embodying lasting worthiness, recovering from codependency, holding healthy boundaries, healing with our inner child, and so much more that's just scratching the surface. If you sign up for the waitlist for the next 3-month immersion, you'll be gifted the early bird discount the next time the group weaves together. And in the meantime, you're warmly welcome to continue this growth journey at your own pace by joining any one of the Singular workshops available on the West Coast this summer and online anytime through my website, crystalclairexo.com. I've intentionally made it super accessible with sliding scale rates starting at only $25 for 2-hour-plus workshops that really dismantle this work far beyond any sort of mini podcast or video can do. Because you deserve to feel liberated in who you authentically are in your sincere empowerment and reclamation. It is my sincere intention that by practicing these ways of sovereignty together, we can shift our community cultures to be more accepting, loving, and free. May these tools serve your highest embodiment for the good and liberation of yourself, your relationships, and for us all. Thank you so much for dropping in with me. Please feel welcome to let me know how these reflections, tools, and practices resonate with and support you. Continually sending blessings your way.